Kia ora whanau, how's it going? I thought I'd do a cooking series in regards to just I'm doing a bolognese, and I thought I'd record it and show it to the whanau how I go about doing it. It's quite a simple kai, and I got into cooking when I was quite young. Grew up in a blended family situation, and early on, due to being a single parent home, no father around really, and so I had to cook early. But my first excursion into serious cooking was when, I think it was in my last year at Tipene at St Stephen's, when the cooks went on strike, and the I don't know who actually initiated it, but there was a question around who would like to help out for the week in the kitchen catering, and so I put my hand up, and I spent a week in the kitchen there cooking and preparing kai for the boys at Tipene in my last year for a whole week. I loved it. And ever since then, cooking has been something that I've used as a joy. Our whanau really, we don't really spend a lot of money on things, but when it comes to kai, we go all out on food. And a real important feature of us being united as a whanau and together has been around our kai table. We've intentionally made efforts around that over the years. And so I've always cooked in our home. If the kai is there available, I'll be working in the kitchen and doing stuff. And so, and I've also used it as a bit of I'm an active relaxer, so I can't just sit around doing nothing. I have to do something. And so this has been a way that I've found cooking has been a way to help relax as well, and also deal with some of the stresses that might facing in my life. I'll cook a feed, and it's funny how you can prepare food for ages and it takes a long time, but then once she's on the table, 10 minutes is all gone. But I love the process. And more recently, particularly, I started back down in Palmerston North, where we would cook and try to do some vegetables, and then go through the process of raising food and then putting it on the kai table like I'm about to do here. And since we've moved up north, our church and whanau and our papakainga, we put down a marakai, so some of you would have seen our marakai series and clips that we've put up on our channel. So that's the preparing side of it in regards to food security and sustainability, and this is the preparing it in regards to putting it on our table. So in some sense, I'm kind of wanting to show from the soil to the table, from the seedlings to our kai, and what we do around that. So historically, I would have started off with the 3 square meal type of the vegetables. What is it? What do you call it? But anyway, it's 3 veg and a hunk of meat, and we love our meat. So there's no way that the Te Kahu whanau are going to be vegetarians. Sorry to all you vegetarians out there and all those folk that are into that type of stuff. But we appreciate kai, and it's a way of just us connecting as a whanau, and anyone else that we have around, we want to connect in that way. So I thought I'd just, since I'm cooking it, I might as well record what I'm doing, and I'm going to probably do this over chunks in regards to, so this part here is just talking about a bit of our background and what I do. You'll have seen us putting down hangis. I've done catering on marae efforts in the 90s. I used to sit on the runanga for Bible College New Zealand, which is now Laidlaw. So for 10 years I helped out with the staff in the kaumātua there for the marae nohos at that location, and so there was other kaumātua and that would head up the whare kai, and we would just jump in and and help out on that space. And then over the years we've run whanau at Te Whare Amorangi when we used to run that, and through our mahi in South Auckland, and inevitably the catering would be something like that we'd be involved with. So it's not a foreign thing to us, and for most Māori who are connected to their whanau and their home areas, quite often the first place you go to when you head home, after you've gone through the formalities of getting home, if that's been a while, is out back into the kouta, the wharekai. On an interesting note, my tāwhirirangi te maunga mohaka te awa, te kaho te rangi te tupuna whare, runga mai wahine te wharekai. We've got a wharekai where I'm from, on my dad's side, and it's the only wharekai that's round in New Zealand. According to our stories, our tupuna went overseas one time and he came across a village that had round whare, and in doing so he brought that back to our tupuna whare. And so our kouta, you'll see out the back, it's like the old koutas that they have in regards to how they would cook kai. And so you'll see the fire pit and the shed on the back end of it. Now it's been a while since I've been home. I've tended to been with Josie's side of the whakapapa, but when my boys are younger, we took them there and had a look, and it was pretty impressive. So anyway, so what I'm doing today is this food is actually not for today. I'm cooking this for Sunday and Monday, which will be the 3rd and the 4th. And unlike some folk that do this, so what I'm actually going to be doing is an Italian dish with my kind of flavour spin on it, in the sense of the types of meat that I'm putting in and the types of ingredients that I'm putting there. But I've tried to, I've watched other folk on YouTube, and this is something that's just come up for me this year that, man, it's been quite cool, nice to be able to cook other dishes. We had our first excursion into Korean cooking earlier this week. I did a honey butter chicken dish, and yep, so I'll just tweak that a little bit, and maybe one day I'll put that up for us to have a little nosy at. But this is going to be an Italian dish, and what I'm doing here is a bolognese, and I've got fettuccine is the spaghetti that I'm using for that, so just from the local supermarket. My core ingredients I've got beef, 2 lots of beef, and thank you to Margaret, who did a home cool of one of her cattle, and donated a quarter of beef to us, and so these are the mince out there. And I do a mix here, so I've got beef and pork, and I put those together. So it's this is 600 grams of pork, and I don't know, 800 grams of beef mince. And so that's the meat side of it. But the core component that I have in this, and this is not my own. I'm following other people that. There's a guy, I think it's called Fettuccine. Sorry if I got it wrong. Fettuccine's plate, and I've come across him recently, and he critiques other people that do Italian dishes, and so I followed him. So I'm basically just following him and some of the critiques that he's got from other Italians that do that. So anyway, this is my spin on it. But the main base to it is celery. So in our garden we grow these things, and I've got these things in here: celery, carrots, and onions. So alongside the meat, and then I've also got a pasta sauce, which you can get any one from the shop. And then I also later on, and I'll record this to show you how to do it. Tomato paste, and then a puree. So it could be chopped up tomatoes, or if you've got a stack of tomatoes if you're growing them, and then you just chop them up and put that into there. And so I'll show you how I go about that. And then starting off, I have a very liberal amount of olive oil as I start. So pretty much effectively what I'll be doing is olive oil will go in, heat that up, cut up the onions into small bits. They'll go in, get them to the golden stage, not brown or not burnt, and then I'll throw in diced carrots, diced celery, and let those fuse together in regards to their cooking. And then after that, I'll then put my mince in, brown it off, make sure it's all mixed in. And then the last part is putting in the sauce, puree, and the tomato paste to get the saucy flavour. And then I'll slow cook it for as long as possible. And I've found that that's been quite a helpful process. Rather than it being a quick dish, is just cook it slowly. That's why it's not going to be for tonight. It's going to be for tomorrow and Monday's kai for us. So I'll cook that. I'll prepare it. I'm going to prepare it now, and I'll probably stop this and show you what it looks like all prepped, and then just start the initial cooking side of things. The other thing I do also is I make sure that once the kai is cooking, I'll put some water in it, and near the end I may also put a liberal amount of white wine or red wine in it, and then right at the end, once I'm about ready to say, yep, that's where I want it to, I'll also put half a cup of milk or cream into it at the end. Yeah, so that's what we're pretty much doing. So what I'll do now is I'll peel the carrots and the onions, and what I do, because obviously onions make you cry, is I actually do those last. I'll prep my vegetables first, and then it means that less time being exposed to the things that make you cry. One of the things when I was with the army, posted to the loggies down at Linton, I was impressed with the chefs and the amount of work that they do to feed the soldiers, and I was always amazed at how they could do the onions without the tears. They've got some trick. I don't know what the trick is, so I wash them and try to find ways of not crying. Some say breathe for your mouth. Others I've seen they'll put full masks on to stop it, but anyway. So what I'll do now is I'll go through and peel my carrots and chop up the celery, and once that's all prepped, then I'll come back on and just do the next phase for us, so you can see what's going on. And yeah, anyway, it's a lovely day here in Kaikohe. Saturday, it's a nice sunny day. JC's out at a women's breakfast and having a cordial with them. My boys and I are here. We're in the level 2 lockdown, and we're going to have a Korean dish tonight that the boys are cooking and prepping, and I'm doing this for tomorrow and Monday's dish. Just like anything, the prepping and the planning is probably the most work alongside of the kai. So if you're doing a garden, you might want to think about what types of food you're wanting to have when it comes to the harvest time. So you're not just planting anything, but you're thinking about, okay, I can use those for this type of meal. So for example, this year we planted celery, we've got heaps of it, we planted carrots, and I've planted onions, knowing that at the time that they come to harvest, I've got those food groups there for our dish. The other thing that I've tried doing as well is to plant them over a period of 2 or 3 weeks, so it's not all just carrots all coming at one time. So there's a sequence of harvesting over a long period. That way to stretch out the the time frame of what the availability of those vegetables. I'm not a professional gardener or anything like that. As I say, it's more about food security for ourselves. And what I've tried to do is I found it a way as a good way of getting into the environment, connecting back to the whenua, and finding that whole renewal that happens. You know, when you see the birds flying around and you can smell the fresh air. Back on our Papakainga, that some of you would have seen our videos, and the TKBs is the video series that I put up. Is yeah, if I'm in the garden, I can hear the bees in the background, and I can smell the wax and what they're doing in regards to pulling the honey in and so forth. So I chop off the ends, and what I'll do with this now that it's peeled is then I'll dice it up small into small pieces, ready to go there. So the garden has been, I think about firstly preparing the soil, what that looks like. We've got an Awhi Marakai project that we're running up here, that we're really just kicking off, trying to encourage other whanau members to have their own vegetables, and think about what they want to have growing in there. Now I also grow, give it a bit of a wash, just clean all the natural stuff off, the dirt and so forth. But I also grow other things, because part of that is I'm wanting to be a blessing to other whanau. I'm just prepping the celery now around the place, and give them opportunities to, out of the surplus of our blessings, we bless other people. So yeah, if you're thinking about a garden, you think about the process you want to use, what types of food you want to use. I've noticed up here in the far north that we've got 2 types of soil. Back on the Papakainga, the soil is more clayey, so I've actually had to build my garden up above the soil. So you'll see me layering things, cardboard and compost and good manure and bark and that breaks down and all that type of stuff, and trying to introduce good soil there. Whereas here in Kaikui, the soil is brilliant, so you don't really need to do too much. But you need to think about that in the off season of what you're going to put into the soil to get all the nutrients in there. So this is quite a simple dish, as I say, whanau. 3 celery, 3 carrots, a couple of onions, and your meat. I suppose the meat's the most expensive part of it, but if you think about cooking, and that's why I've got so much, is this dish can go over a number of meals. And what I'm doing with the sauce here is a bolognese. The sauce I can use once I've cooked it, and you'll see when it comes to the prepping style, I'll then I can use that for other dishes. So I might get different types of lasagna. You could also use the base sauce, spaghetti. You could also use the base sauce for lasagna, and make a lasagna dish with that. So the prepping that I do for this sauce and meat, which in this case is going to be a bolognese, that sauce can be used for lasagna as well. So it's the same process to get there. Now, I don't like mushrooms, so I don't introduce mushrooms in that. And according to old Villatini's plate, I think that's his name, I'll have to look it up in the break. That's not authentic Italian when you're putting in garlic or mushrooms and things like that. So I've tried to keep things simple. And when you think about earlier days, these are quite easy to grow, and you would probably make, if you grew tomatoes, you would make your own pasta sauce from that, and you'd have that as well. So if you have that capability, then yeah, go for it by all means. It just means more prepping that you have to do, and thinking about the length of that. So now I'll just tidy up my celery, get those prepped. Just you could use it as garnishing, but I've got a compost out the back, and I'll chuck it back into the garden there, and recycle. So what I don't use, I compost it down, put it into a compost garden, either here or in the on the Papakainga, and then you're actually putting food nutrients back into the soil. Anyway, prepped my carrots, prepped my celery, in the sense of I've got those ready to cut up, and now I'm about to do the onions. So I'm going to do the onions, and I'll come back once it's all prepped, and then I'll show you what I'll do in regards to the cooking side. Anyway, whanau, if you're enjoying this, subscribe and chuck on to the next video that's coming on after this. Do like it, do share it if you think this is helpful. Just some jungle tips around cooking kai and my little journey around that. And we're doing a bolognese with fettuccine spaghetti type of thing. I don't really know what the technical names are for them. It's just a pattern that I've found, and I think that's probably the best thing about cooking, eh? Find your own pattern and follow it. Nō reira, kia ora, ka kite.